Hello everyone, we're back. Are you ready to find out what's going on in Seattle? Sleepless in Seattle, sleepless in the multiverse, and maybe some fear in Gotham.
More like shooting arrows in Seattle.
Yes.
Not sleepless.
I was just trying to be cool and be, hey, let me do a little tagline there. Green Arrow number 16, Emerald Outlaw Part 5. Josh, is everything normal with Green Arrow again, finally?
Well, he's kind of pulled himself out of another hole. I mean, Oliver Queen's been declared dead. He was essentially framed for blowing up his own building, for doing all these crimes. He got that taken care of when he took out the Inferno. Then Green Arrow starts getting blamed for crimes. And now Green Arrow's finally kind of gotten him out of that. Because he's dealing with not only the old Green Arrow villain Merlin the Archer.
Yes.
And he's also had to deal with a group of rogue cops called the Vice Squad, which I love saying. That sounds like it should be a TV show. And so Green Arrow goes out of his way to save a TV reporter, Victoria Much, and he also saves the police chief, Chief Westberg. Mm-hmm. And he goes out of his way to save them.
Yes.
Because not only is that the right thing to do, that's also how he proves his innocence.
Because they framed him. Merlin had framed shooting an arrow, so it looked like it was Green Arrow doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And in this one, he's finally got Westberg on his side, essentially. Yep. And they've finally realized, okay, we got to take out the Vice Squad. And they actually managed to do that. Because as it turns out, the Vice Squad essentially view themselves as vigilantes.
Yeah, Sergeant Notting.
Sergeant Notting kind of wants to take out, I want to say like the dregs in society, is that there are certain people in society just holding them down.
Yep.
And he's, crooked cop to the core. And he actually expected Green Arrow to be on his side, given that they're both vigilantes. Given that Green Arrow is kind of the hero who cares about everybody, not a good play on Notting's part.
Yeah, he definitely overplayed. He was thinking what Green Arrow was going to do.
Yeah. Obviously not that familiar with the guy who's been protecting Seattle for this long.
Right.
We also know that Amy is back in Ollie's life.
And she wants to be called something different. Now that she had her little talk with her mother, Shadow, in Japan, she comes back with Arrows Blazing and makes a little declaration to Green Arrow Ollie.
Yeah, she wants to be Red Arrow.
Heard that name before, haven't we?
Yeah, that was Roy Harper before Flashpoint.
Yes.
Actually went back to Arsenal right before Flashpoint. Amy doesn't really want to be Ollie's sidekick.
Right.
She doesn't want Ollie to be treating her like a boss. She wants him to treat her like, act like her brother.
Right.
So maybe this will be more of a partnership.
Here's my thinking on that, is she wants him to treat her brother-sister relationship, but he is the older brother. Mm-hmm. And therefore, Ollie is always going to be protective of her. Mm-hmm. And so maybe that's not going to work right away. She's going to want to say, look at me as a 50-50 person, is I carry my weight, you carry mine. Yeah, don't look at me a partner, but if you look at me as a sister, Ollie's natural instinct is going to be, I'm going to protect you at all times. So I can see where that might get the team in trouble, because he's going to be overly protective of her until she shows him, and we know it because we've read it already, but until she shows him that she can take care of herself and she is just a valuable part of the team and not a hindrance.
It's also funny how in this issue everyone repeatedly calls her Amy, and she corrects them by saying it's Red Arrow. Mm-hmm. And I gotta say, Amy, if you want to be Red Arrow, wear a little bit more red. Red should be the primary color, not the tertiary color. Mm-hmm.
Green Arrow decides to reveal his identity to Chief Westberg. Mm-hmm. And he's doing that as a token of trust, is this is who Green Arrow is, this is who I am, Oliver Queen, I care about this city, and I know you share the same values as me, and we need to come together. Great in theory. I thought it was a great gesture.
Mm-hmm. Well, and Westberg essentially helped Green Arrow get off the police's radar. And so Oliver Queen does kind of have that ulterior motive of, okay, if that can work for Green Arrow, maybe it can help for Oliver Queen. And Westberg seemed receptive to that.
Yeah.
He actually seemed more shocked that he wouldn't recognize Green Arrow and Oliver Queen as the same guy when he's the only guy in Seattle with a blonde beard like that.
He was taking a drink of, how could I not see it? How could I do this? too bad that revelation wasn't longer lived than what it was.
Westberg goes into the bathroom, and there's Merlin behind him.
Yep.
And when Green Arrow goes to check on him, poor Chief gets an arrow through the head.
That was disappointing because I thought we were going to see Green Arrow start to get back into the system and start to work having that Gordon-Batman relationship, as you pointed out.
Yep.
That they were teasing a relationship, but boom, it's gone.
Yep, or even kind of a different one,
Right.
too. I mean, because that kind of had different vibes to it. I mean, Westberg is sort of, he's the veteran cop who's,
Yep.
sitting there drinking when Green Arrow comes through the window.
Yep.
And he basically offers him a drink. Like, well, I can't offer you a drink of this, can I? And when when Green Arrow takes off his mask, you see the Chief takes
Whoa.
another one. I'm like, okay, let's regroup.
Exactly.
It was just kind of disappointing, but it looks like undoubtedly Green Arrow is going to get framed for that crime.
Yep.
Too. It's Merlin, and Merlin's definitely the real villain of the story arc. Notting and the Vice Squad, they were kind of the sub villains.
Yep.
Merlin's sort of the final boss of this.
Agreed.
And the teaser for the end of this reads "Attack on Sherwood Forest," and we see that Diggle's been making some quote perimeter defenses that nearly takes out Alley.
Yep.
And
I mean Red Arrow.
Yeah. And I love how Diggle runs over and says, "Oh, sorry, my bad."
Yep. Don't mind you almost getting killed, but I'll make sure you know where all this stuff is next time.
Yeah. Make him a map or something.
Oh, definitely. I was liking this little story arc of Green Arrow. What do you think we see in the future for Green Arrow? You just mentioned the attack on Sherwood Forest. You think we're going to have Merlin as the counterbalance to Green Arrow for a time?
That would be cool. That would make me happy. I love Merlin as a character. I mean, it looks like Ollie's not out of the woods yet with the outlaw image. I mean, he's going to have probably one more murder to seemingly exonerate himself from. At least one more. So we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah, definitely. Green Arrow number 16. The Emerald Outlaw is still continuing. We've got Merlin. We've got Green Arrow, Red Arrow, Diggle, Black Canary, and the whole family aspect. Real quick, that's one thing we missed about, was they're all sitting down having a nice family dinner.
Yeah.
Nice little reprieve for what we sure is going to be a lot of nights where they're going to not get any rest or any family dinners.
Yep, and that's a big change from where Green Arrow Rebirth #1 started. I mean, from that story arc where Diggle wasn't exactly happy to see Green Arrow after all that. They weren't all happy to see one another. Green Arrow had to reconnect with Black Canary because they didn't really remember themselves. They didn't remember the relationship they had had before that. And it's come a long way from there to that group. True.
And we'll see if it continues to keep going in future episodes as we talk about future issues of Green Arrow. Superman number 16, Multiplicity Conclusion. These first two issues of this story arc I thought were cool. I really enjoyed the multiverse Superman. It was a continuation of Final Crisis, and if you had read Final Crisis before, you knew all about the multiverse Superman getting together, you knew about the Ultima Thule, you knew about the vibrations in the music. But this issue literally fell flat to me. I don't know what the point was of this issue. We do see that our Superman is viewed as an anomaly. We see that the prophecy is draining all the Supermen all over through the multiverse to combat what's coming. There were good parts of the story, but overall that story arc just didn't come together for me.
This last issue was rushed. That was a really fast I was expecting at least 2, maybe 3 more issues to wrap this up. Prophecy went down fast.
Right.
I mean, for being a guy who had absorbed the powers of X number Supermans, he got taken out by a lot of Supermans.
Well,
and it wasn't that major of a fight. It wasn't.
No.
I would have enjoyed a little bit more of an explanation. I mean, they have to keep Prophecy kind of secretive, kind of esoteric in his goal. I mean, it's kind of heroic. You know, he's trying to be a hero. He's trying to. It sounded like he was trying to save his own universe.
Yes,
and then then he would, kind of save all the others.
If he felt like it.
Yeah, if he felt like it. So not that much of a hero.
I didn't really like that all of a sudden, once all the Supermen came to where they were, they all energized their powers back. Did the music catch them?
They didn't explain that very well. It would have helped if they had explained how prophecy depowered them.
Yep.
Because if we knew how prophecy depowered them, then we'd know how they'd get repowered. I mean, would that just be... Normally it's just sunlight for Superman. Who knows if that works on all... Yeah, they all glowed.
Yeah,
and
they all glowed.
They didn't explain that. So it might have been the music. Who knows? It could have been the Superman theme. That would be a good way to do it.
That would have been very fun. We finally have our first Kong Kanan and our Superman have their first meeting. And of all the places they have the meeting, but they finally meet.
Yeah, and that's really cool because Kanan had already mentioned that he's a fan of Superman going into that. I mean, going into his series. And I think at this point we've really only seen him in his own personal series. We hadn't seen him in any crossover, so it's nice to see this. Superman kind of takes, a friendly stance to him. I mean, he's trying to be the nice guy. He's trying to be kind of the mentor. After they beat Prophecy, they meet in China, and they're getting food on a rooftop, and Kanan's explaining to him everything he's eating, and the frog, little bits of frog and stuff, and Superman says, "Oh, it tastes like chicken."
Yeah, that was funny too.
Yeah, it's cool. It makes me wonder: are we going to see more of Kanan in the larger crossover stories?
Agreed. Now, Prophecy wasn't really beaten tried and true. All of a sudden, those little energy bubbles come and disintegrate him away. We've seen those energy bubbles in a certain couple other places, namely with Tim Drake when he reappeared, and Doomsday before. Looks like Prophecy is now a member of Mr. Oz's little band of merry captured heroes and villains.
Yeah, and it's an interesting explanation by Oz at the very end as he's talking to Prophecy who's chained up. And he says, I really admire your courage and your determination to, stand for what you believe in.
Yep.
But he makes it sound like you've been doing this in the wrong way, or you've been doing it in a way that's unsound, is the word he uses. And it makes it sound like that's a reference to him plucking Supermen from dimensions. Because that's kind of the same thing Oz has been doing. Is there something in mind for Prophecy, or did he just get taken off the board, sort of to almost eliminate the competition? For that would be interesting to know.
Yeah,
and one note I did have about Prophecy is I looked him up on the DC Wiki, and apparently he's a brand new character. He did kind of remind me, I didn't realize he was so huge. He's a big dude. He kind of reminds me of, there's a character they introduced in the New 52 named Relic. And Relic was a Green Lantern villain who existed basically before the emotional spectrum was created. And then when the emotional spectrum was created, he kind of vowed to destroy it because it made it sound like that destroyed his universe. And Prophecy bears some pretty similar features to Relic. They don't look quite the same, but they're both really big. They have that really alien look. It makes me wonder, could they be from the same dimension? Is that the same dimension that's at threat? That was just a thought I had.
Yeah, we don't know.
Who knows?
At least we got to see Captain Carrot.
Oh, yeah, and he looked cool. He looked scary. I mean, for being a guy who's a cartoon carrot, they made him look... I mean, a cartoon rabbit. Man, he looks like a real scary rabbit now. That's amazing. So the artist gets points in this issue because you made Captain Carrot look intimidating.
Definitely.
And it is funny how when they're all in the little pit where they're supposed to be digging their grave, Superman holds Captain Carrot in his rabbit form the entire time and kind of strokes him. It's like, okay, that's awesome.
He's good spots in this issue. It's good spots in the story arc. But I felt let down at the very end, and maybe this will be part of a larger story arc throughout the DC Universe Rebirth. Green Lanterns number 16, Darkest Nights, Part 1. Well, we finally get the team up. Batman, Green Lantern. And it's only right that the Batman brings them to Gotham because there's an epidemic that kind of fits a couple motives. We're not sure which one's right yet.
Yeah. There's an epidemic of people essentially going sort of paranoid insane trying to kill Batman. Just spontaneously developing this insane fear of Batman, trying to kill other people to save them from Batman, trying to harm themselves, trying to do all these different things. And Batman thinks that's a Sinestro Corps thing. That's, that's fear being transmitted that way. Simon and Jessica come to Gotham and they immediately say, "Oh, it's Scarecrow." That's exactly what we said last episode.
Yeah.
That's got to be Scarecrow.
So why not just kind of have a little mishmash of, I don't know, what do you want to call it? Of egos, but not really egos, of the way they do things. And we get that clash between Simon and Batman over a gun.
Well, and it's funny, too, that Gordon calls out Simon for that, wonders if he has an open carry permit in Gotham, which makes me laugh that Gordon would look at a superhero and say, "Excuse me, do you have an open carry permit for that?" Yeah, but it is funny because we haven't seen that clash yet. That Simon is one of the few superheroes who does actually carry a gun. There really aren't that many.
No.
I mean, you could count Deadpool and the Punisher and some of those, but they don't use their guns in the same way he does. His is kind of like the last resort, just in case I need it, the backup, just in case the ring fails. And of course we know, from years past, Batman is not a fan of guns. When he lost his parents to a gun, and it's an interesting clash. Because Batman essentially says, "That's not welcome in my city."
Exactly.
Simon says, "You don't know how many times this has saved my life." And he goes through some of the little images where, it's him shooting Sinestro, it's him, like Atrocitus grabbing his arm and breaking it so he can't use his ring. Neither side is really right in that argument. You get that sense right off the bat. It makes you wonder, how are they going to come to a mutual understanding? Because Simon even compares it to, the Batarang and, the Batmobiles that can shoot flames and stuff. And he says, "You have all this stuff and I don't get to carry a gun?"
That was interesting.
Yeah.
What was interesting too is Jessica kind of identifies how they're spreading this, I'm just going to call it fear. How are they spreading this fear, this emotion to get everyone to hate and then want to kill Batman?
Well, they're using the easiest way. It's the internet.
Yes.
Via videos on the internet. And these are essentially anti-Batman propaganda, which surprisingly Jessica has seen.
Yes, exactly.
But then immediately says, "Oh, I've only heard of them. They're on blogs I don't read," and tries to backtrack herself out of that. I love how eventually Batman says, "No, you might be right about these videos that you see on blogs that you don't actually read." So it's sort of a technological basis. It still seems a lot like the Scarecrow, because Batman and Gordon's reason for discounting Scarecrow is that before he's always used gas or some sort of physical agent to get the fear toxin into them, and using, which they didn't know about the website, but that didn't fit. There wasn't any same toxin. There wasn't any similar situation or surroundings that all these people were in.
But we find out that we go to the Batcave, and Simon and Jessica are with Batman. They're looking at one of the anti-Batman videos. We see suddenly that the ring is detecting fear as well. But this video actually starts infecting Alfred. When that happens, Alfred instinctively goes for Simon's gun. And that creates a problem because they're going to want to try to help Alfred, but he has that gun, so they have to be careful he isn't shooting up the place. So already we have a conflict where Batman's ethics and Simon's, if you want to call it the way that their morals are already in conflict on how they're guided, because how are they going to take out Alfred without hurting him?
And
how are they going to disarm him?
And I kind of get the feeling that Simon's going to be on the defensive a little bit once they get that resolved, because it's his gun that kind of just escalated the situation a bit.
And we finally see that the Green Lantern ring detects the fear. And you go out through Gotham, and it turns out that it is the Scarecrow.
Maybe it looks like him.
Scarecrow is wearing a Sinestro Corps emblem shirt, but and he's somehow has induced fear through these videos. But something just seems odd about it. It is the Scarecrow at one time during the Blackest Night. He did get one of the rings, the Sinestro Corpse ring. So he was a Sinestro Corpse because he has the ability to generate great fear. So maybe he still has that ability.
Or maybe he, New 52 Scarecrow decided to look up the Sinestro Corps because he heard about that. And
Yep.
Yeah, it's a very strange looking Scarecrow at the end, especially with a green shirt.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably to make the Sinestro Corps logo stand out.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm sure a yellow logo on a predominantly tan outfit would not
Right.
look terribly great. But yeah, the very strange looking Scarecrow. But then again, that's a character who's changed appearances a lot. And I think it's also worth noting, when Simon and Jessica go to the Batcave, they spend like minutes just looking around.
Oh, I would too.
I think we're basically at the point where Simon and Jessica are basically us.
Yes.
I mean, if we went to the Batcave, that's what we would be doing.
Ooh, giant penny dinosaur.
And Jessica even says, "When do we get a cave?"
Yep.
and Batman has to constantly keep him on track and say, "Lanterns, concentrate, please.
Follow me. Nothing to see here.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. No, don't look. What is that big no?
And Simon asks, "When do we get the stuffy butler? When do we get the stuffy old guy?"
Well,
Then he starts to think that's one of the reasons why Alfred goes after
I
him.
think so.
I know I called you stuffy.
See, don't make fun of Alfred.
Yeah.
And with that, we're going to take a final break. And when we come back, we're going to see what's normal in Nightwing number 14 and in Batman number 16. We'll be back in just a moment.